Hello, my dears. I'm glad we can meet again. Tell me, does this feeling sound familiar? It's morning. You're anticipating that cup of aromatic, invigorating coffee. This ritual that seems to have been with us forever? But what if I told you that this very morning cup, our faithful companion, could be subtly, day by day, stealing our breath? Yes, exactly like that. Have you noticed how, after coffee, it suddenly becomes harder to take a full, deep breath? Or how your heart starts beating a little faster, as if you've just run a sprint, even though you were just sitting at the table? As we age, our bodies become wiser, but also more sensitive, and what used to go unnoticed can now cause discomfort. Caffeine, especially on an empty stomach, is like a sudden clap of thunder on a clear day for our matured hearts and blood vessels. It jolts the nervous system, can raise blood pressure and stomach acidity, which, in turn, often results in a feeling of shortness of breath or heaviness in the chest. This isn't just old age arriving. It's a specific reaction from your body. And you know what else adds fuel to the fire? The habit of drinking coffee with something sweet or starchy, a bun, a cookie. It's like a double whammy. The caffeine stimulates, and the fast carbohydrates first spike your blood sugar, then just as sharply drop you into a pit of fatigue and brain fog. But don't rush to despair. I'm here to share with you not just an observation, but real experience, mine and that of other people your age. I'll tell you how a simple change in your morning habit can bring back ease of breathing, calm energy for the whole day, and an amazing feeling of control over your own well-being. No complicated diets or expensive supplements, just simple, accessible steps. I promise, by the end of our talk, you'll look at your morning routine with completely different eyes. Stay with me, and let's figure out together how to breathe more freely and live more vibrantly. Saying goodbye to the caffeine alarm clock. Hello, herbal tea. So, the first and perhaps most obvious step, replace your morning coffee with something gentler. What exactly? The ideal option is herbal tea. Chamomile, mint, lemon balm, ginger tea, or even just warm water with lemon. Sounds too simple, almost boring compared to the rich aroma of coffee, right? Let me tell you Arthur's story. Arthur is 75 now, and he drank coffee every morning for 50 years at least. I'm not human without coffee, he told me with a chuckle when I first brought it up. But in recent years, Arthur started noticing that after his beloved cup of espresso, not only did his heart rate increase, but he also got an unpleasant feeling of tightness in his chest, like he couldn't get enough air. He blamed it on age, the weather, anything but his morning elixir of vitality. When I suggested he try replacing coffee with mint tea for just a week, he looked at me like I was crazy. Mint tea? In the morning? That's a sleeping potion, he grumbled. The first couple of days were torture for him. He missed the ritual, the bitter taste, the feeling of instant awakening. He felt a bit lost, irritable. His hand automatically reached for the coffee maker in the morning, but he had promised to try. On the third day, he noticed with surprise that he woke up without the usual heaviness in his chest. His heart was beating steadily, calmly. By the end of the week, Arthur confessed, "You know, I still miss coffee, but I've stopped feeling breathless in the mornings, and that minty freshness. It energizes in a different way, not jarringly, but gently awakens." Why does this happen? It's simple. Caffeine is a stimulant. It makes the adrenal glands release adrenaline, the heart beat faster, and blood vessels constrict. For a young body, this is tolerable, but with age, such a jolt becomes increasingly stressful. Imagine an old but beloved car. You wouldn't constantly floor the gas pedal, right? It's the same with our bodies. Herbal teas, on the other hand, act gently. Mint refreshes and aids digestion. Chamomile calms the nervous system. Ginger tones without overstimulation and improves circulation. It's like switching from a roller coaster that throws you up and down to the smooth, calm flow of a river. You get not a sharp jolt of energy, followed by a crash, but a steady, stable state of alertness and mental clarity throughout the day. Breathing becomes deeper and calmer because the heart works at a comfortable rhythm and the nervous system isn't overloaded. Practical benefits for you: ease of breathing right from the morning, a calm heart, absence of the nervousness and anxiety often triggered by caffeine, improved digestion, especially if you choose mint or ginger. Inspiring takeaway: Maybe your ideal morning cup isn't the one that frays your nerves, but the one that gently awakens and brings calm. Try it for at least a week. Your breathing will thank you. Living water. Before everything, the foundation of easy breathing. The next tip might seem elementary, but its power is immense. Start your morning with a glass of plain warm water. Not coffee, not tea, but specifically water. Drink it slowly, in small sips, right after waking up, even before you start preparing breakfast or your new morning drink. Water? Just water? What good is that, you might ask? Oh, tremendous good. And the story of Eleanor, who is 70, illustrates this perfectly. Eleanor was one of those who went straight for the coffee pot first thing. She complained of constant dry mouth in the mornings, frequent heartburn, and that same feeling of air hunger, especially after breakfast with coffee. The idea of drinking water just because seemed like a pointless waste of time to her. Water is for quenching thirst during the day, but in the morning I need a boost, she'd say. But her breathing problems and stomach discomfort were bothering her more and more. With great skepticism, she agreed to an experiment. A glass of warm water with a drop of lemon juice every morning before her coffee, which she wasn't ready to give up yet. The first few days, she forced herself, but within a week, she noticed interesting things. First, the morning thirst was gone. Second, heartburn became significantly less frequent. And most importantly, after her morning coffee, which she still drank, but now after the water, the feeling of tightness in her chest was less pronounced. She herself was surprised. Can plain water really make such a difference? Here's how it works. Overnight, our body becomes dehydrated. We lose moisture through breathing and sweating. We wake up slightly dehydrated. If we immediately pour caffeine, which has a diuretic effect, into ourselves, we worsen this condition. Dehydration thickens the blood, making it harder for the heart to pump, which can indirectly affect breathing. Furthermore, water on an empty stomach kick-starts metabolism, gently awakens the digestive system, and helps cleanse the stomach walls of mucus and acid accumulated overnight. This reduces the risk of acid reflux, a common cause of coughing, throat clearing, and the sensation of a lump in the throat, which we might mistake for breathing problems. Imagine your body in the morning as a dry sponge. If you immediately drip concentrated acid, coffee, onto it, it will absorb it instantly and aggressively. But if you first moisten the sponge with water, it becomes softer, more elastic, and the subsequent impact won't be as harsh. Warm water is like a gentle internal wash for your body. It prepares it for food and drinks, making it less vulnerable. Practical benefits for you: improved hydration from the start of the day, reduced risk of heartburn and acid reflux, gentler awakening of the digestive system, possible reduction in the intensity of negative reactions to subsequent coffee intake if you're not ready to give it up yet, overall improvement in well-being. Inspiring takeaway: give your body the simplest and most necessary drink first thing in the morning. It's a small step with huge potential for your comfort and easy breathing. Breakfast, not an acid attack, but a calm harbor. We've talked about drinks, but what we eat in the morning is just as important, especially in combination with our first drink of the day. Often, the problem isn't just the coffee itself, but its companions. Think about what you usually have with your morning drink, whether it's coffee or now herbal tea. A sweet bun, toast with jam, a glazed curd snack, a donut. These are all fast carbohydrates and sugar, which combined with the acidity of coffee and some herbal teas like hibiscus are also acidic, create a real storm in our stomach. And this storm can rise upwards, causing heartburn, burping, and that very irritation of the airways that feels like shortness of breath. Listen to George's story. He's 78. George loved his morning ritual: a large mug of black coffee and a couple of pieces of toast with a thick layer of orange jam. After such a breakfast, he regularly complained of a lump in his throat, tickling, and the need to constantly clear his throat. Breathing deeply was difficult. He blamed pollen, dry air, age. When we suggested it might be his breakfast, he waved it off. Nonsense. I've eaten breakfast like this my whole life. But the constant discomfort made him reconsider. He decided to try replacing his toast and jam with oatmeal cooked in water, topped with a handful of berries and nuts. He kept the coffee for now, but drank it after the oatmeal. Imagine his astonishment when, after a few days, he realized the throat tickling had almost disappeared. The lump sensation was gone, and breathing became noticeably easier. Incredible, he admitted. I never thought simple oatmeal could make such a difference. Why did this work? A breakfast rich in fast carbs and sugar causes a sharp spike in blood sugar, followed by an equally sharp crash, hence the feeling of fatigue and sluggishness by mid-morning. Additionally, such foods often increase stomach acidity. Coffee itself is an acidic drink. Combining these two factors is like throwing logs onto the fire of acid reflux. Stomach acid can back up into the esophagus and even higher, irritating the larynx and airways. This is what causes coughing, tickling, and the feeling of air shortage. Switching to slow carbohydrates, oatmeal, whole grain bread, protein, eggs, cottage cheese, and fiber, berries, vegetables, nuts, works completely differently. Such a breakfast stabilizes blood sugar levels, providing long, steady energy without spikes and crashes. It's less aggressive on the stomach and helps normalize acidity. The fiber in oatmeal or vegetables acts like a caring gardener for your gut, aiding digestion and creating a feeling of comfort. Imagine, a sweet bun with coffee is like a small volcano in your stomach, ready to erupt with acid. A bowl of oatmeal with berries is like a calm, fertile garden that nourishes you gently and reliably. Practical benefits for you: stable energy levels without morning slumps, reduced risk of heartburn and acid reflux, improved digestion, less irritation of the throat and airways, more comfortable breathing after breakfast. Inspiring takeaway: try making your breakfast a calm, nourishing harbor for your body, not an acid attack. Perhaps this is exactly what will help you breathe more freely. Find your pause, breathing instead of caffeine. Let's be honest, for many of us, morning coffee is more than just a drink. It's a ritual, a pause, a moment for ourselves before the day begins. A chance to sit quietly, gather thoughts, browse the newspaper, or simply look out the window. And when we give up coffee, we might feel like we're losing not just the caffeine, but also this precious pause. So, what can we do? Replace it. Not with another drink, but with a mindful practice that will bring far more benefits to your breathing and calmness. Deep breathing. Just 2 to 3 minutes of conscious, slow breathing can work wonders. Margaret's story, aged 72, is very telling. Margaret always used her morning coffee as an anchor. She would sit in her favorite armchair by the window, slowly sip her coffee, and plan her day. Giving up coffee, due to severe palpitations and shortness of breath, left her feeling empty. I didn't know what to do with those 10 minutes, she shared. Just sitting there felt somehow wrong. And I noticed I started breathing even more shallowly, as if rushing somewhere. I suggested she try, at the same time, in the same chair, simply closing her eyes and focusing on her breath. A slow inhale through the nose, counting to 4, a slight pause, and a slow, smooth exhale through the mouth, counting to 6. At first, she felt awkward. What nonsense, just sitting and breathing, she thought. Her mind wandered, but she persisted every morning. After a week, she noticed remarkable changes. Firstly, this 3-minute practice became her new favorite pause. It genuinely calmed her mind and helped her set the tone for the day. Secondly, she began to notice that her regular, everyday breathing had become deeper and calmer, even outside of these exercises. Her shortness of breath when walking decreased. How does this work? When we experience stress, anxiety, and breaking a habit is also stressful, or simply live at a fast pace, our breathing becomes shallow and rapid. We only use the upper part of our lungs, not giving the body enough oxygen and not fully expelling carbon dioxide. This can worsen the feeling of breathlessness and cause tension. Caffeine, as a stimulant, often contributes further to this shallow, agitated breathing. The practice of deep diaphragmatic breathing, where the belly expands on the inhale, does the exact opposite. It activates the parasympathetic nervous system, our rest and digest system. Heart rate slows, blood pressure drops, muscles relax. The brain receives the signal. Everything is okay, you can relax. This not only improves gas exchange in the lungs, oxygenating the blood, but also reduces the overall stress level, which itself can be a cause of shortness of breath. Imagine the caffeine pause as a short, convulsive gasp before a jump. Conscious breathing is like climbing to a mountaintop and taking a long, deep, refreshing breath of clean air, filling your lungs to the very bottom. Practical benefits for you: reduce stress and anxiety, improve blood oxygenation, training of respiratory muscles, slowed heart rate, acquiring a new beneficial habit for mental calm, improved breathing quality throughout the day. Inspiring takeaway. Your morning pause can become a source not of nervousness, but of deep calm and easy breathing. Just breathe. It's free and incredibly effective. The path to freedom via training wheels, decaf as an option. Perhaps the thought of completely giving up the taste and aroma of coffee seems utterly unbearable. The ritual is so ingrained, the smell so beloved, that the very idea of life without it causes dismay. I understand you perfectly. And here, there's a compromise, a transitional option, decaffeinated coffee or decaf. But it's not real coffee. The taste isn't the same, you might say, and you'd be partly right. But let's look at it from another angle. David's story, aged 74, might change your mind. David was a true coffee aficionado. 3 to 4 strong cups a day were his norm. But with age, he began to suffer from insomnia, anxiety, and that same shortness of breath, especially after his morning cup. The thought of giving up coffee caused him near panic. "It's my only joy in the morning," he'd say. So, we suggested he try replacing at least the morning cup with high-quality decaf. He resisted for a long time, tried different brands, grimaced, said it's all a substitute, but his health problems persisted. Finally, he found a brand of decaf whose taste he found acceptable. He started drinking it in the morning, maintaining his ritual, the same favorite cup, the same slow brewing process. And guess what? After a couple of weeks, he noted with surprise that his morning anxiety was gone. His heart no longer pounded like crazy, and breathing became easier. He still enjoyed the process and the familiar, albeit slightly different, taste, but without the negative consequences of caffeine. Over time, he got so used to decaf that he even started occasionally replacing it with herbal tea, something he couldn't have imagined before. Why can decaf be a good solution? The main culprit behind coffee's negative effects is caffeine. It's what stimulates the nervous system, increases heart rate, can raise blood pressure, and cause anxiety. Decaffeinated coffee contains minimal amounts of this substance. It's impossible to remove it completely, but it's reduced by 97% or more. Meanwhile, many of the flavor and aroma components of the coffee bean are preserved. By switching to decaf, you remove the main irritant, but keep the familiar ritual, taste, and aroma that might be important for your psychological comfort. It's like taking the motor off a bicycle that made it race uncontrollably, but keeping the pedals and handlebars. You can still enjoy the ride, but at a calmer, more controlled pace. Decaf can be an excellent bridge or training wheels on the path to eliminating caffeine completely, or simply a healthier alternative if you're not ready to part entirely with the coffee taste. It's especially important to choose high-quality decaf processed using safe methods, like the Swiss water process, to avoid residual chemical solvents. Practical benefits for you: preservation of your beloved ritual and taste, partially, significant reduction or elimination of caffeine's negative effects, rapid heartbeat, anxiety, insomnia, blood pressure spikes, shortness of breath, a smoother transition to other beverages if desired. Inspiring takeaway: you don't necessarily have to make drastic cuts. Sometimes, taking a small step sideways is enough to feel significant relief. Decaf isn't cheating. It's a sensible compromise on the path to better well-being. Listen to your body. Timing and quantity matter. And the last, but no less important piece of advice for today: learn to listen to your body's signals. Perhaps you don't need to give up coffee completely if you truly love it and it doesn't cause severe problems. Maybe it's enough to change when you drink it, or how much. Think back. When exactly do you feel worst after coffee? Right after the morning cup on an empty stomach, or after the 3rd cup of the day? Susan's story, age 71, is very relevant here. Susan tried giving up coffee entirely, but became terribly irritable and felt deprived of her small morning joy. However, she clearly noticed that it was the 1st cup, drunk around 7 a.m. right after waking up, that caused the unpleasant feeling of air shortage and nervous tremors. Coffee later in the day didn't have the same effect. So she decided to experiment. She started drinking her morning coffee not immediately, but 2 or 3 hours after waking up, always after breakfast. She switched to oatmeal like George and a short walk. And, miracle, her body's reaction was completely different. The coffee still provided a boost, but more gently, without the sharp hit to her nerves and heart. The shortness of breath didn't appear afterward. She also reduced her portion. Instead of a large mug, she started drinking a small cup. And that turned out to be enough to enjoy the taste and get a gentle energy boost without unpleasant consequences. Why are timing and quantity so important? In the morning, right after waking up, cortisol levels, the stress hormone that helps us wake up, are already high in our body. Adding the powerful stimulant caffeine on top of this risks overstimulating the nervous system, leading to that overload which manifests as palpitations, anxiety, and shortness of breath. By waiting a couple of hours, we allow cortisol levels to decrease naturally. Additionally, drinking coffee after food, rather than on an empty stomach, softens its impact on the stomach lining, reducing the risk of heartburn and reflux, which, as we know, can affect breathing. Reducing the portion size is also logical. Perhaps your body no longer needs the dose of caffeine you were accustomed to before. Imagine your body as a musical instrument. In the morning, it's not yet tuned, and a harsh chord, strong coffee on an empty stomach, can sound jarring and off-key. But if you give the instrument some time to warm up, to get tuned, wake up, eat breakfast, then the same chord, or even a softer one, a small cup, will sound more harmonious. Listening to your body means becoming your own tuner. Practical benefits for you: the possibility of keeping your favorite drink in your diet without harming your health, reduction of negative side effects, shortness of breath, palpitations, anxiety, by choosing the right time and amount, development of greater mindfulness and understanding of your body's reactions. Inspiring takeaway: your body is your wisest advisor. Listen to it carefully. Perhaps the solution isn't a total ban, but a sensible adjustment of your habits. So, there are the stories, there are the simple steps. As you can see, my dears, the path to easy breathing and calm energy can begin with that ordinary morning cup. It's not about depriving yourself of something familiar and loved, but about finding what truly nourishes and supports you right now at this beautiful stage of life. Your age isn't a burden. It's a treasure trove of wisdom and experience. You've lived a long, rich life. You know yourself better than anyone, and you absolutely deserve to feel good, to breathe deeply, and to enjoy each new day without discomfort or limitations. Don't be afraid to try new things, to listen to yourself, to make small changes to your habits. Even the smallest step, taken with love and care for yourself, can lead to amazing results. You are stronger than you think, and your body will respond gratefully to your care. Start tomorrow with a simple glass of water or a cup of aromatic herbal tea. Give this gift to your breath, your heart, your well-being. You can do it. I believe in you. Be well and breathe easy.